I'm Nicole. When I was 8 years old, I lost my leg to cancer above the knee. I remember being really sick. I remember throwing up, not going to school, which was both good and bad for me, you know. I was definitely a lot harder on my family, I think. The whole situation with my mom not being around because she was at the hospital with me. My dad, I remember my dad lost his job like halfway through that year, and that was a really hard situation for them as well. So, we got a Sichu. Did I say that right? He was my brother's best friend. I think of all my family, my brother probably had the hardest time because we were so close when we were little. And so when I got that dog, that became his best friend. That's his coping mechanism, I think, to kind of pull him forward and out of that. Amputation was a no-brainer, actually. I was too young to have a knee replacement. I was too young to die. They gave me a couple of different options of amputation. Like, for example, one option was to take my good foot and amputate it and then replace the bad knee with the foot. But it's like rotated backwards, and your ankle isn't as stable a joint as your knee is. So whereas a lot of families will opt for that, I didn't want to put myself into that kind of a situation. I'm like, well, it looks weird, and I just didn't want my leg to be like that. And then I didn't want a straight amputation either because I would have had a really short, we call it a stump, what's remaining of the leg. And the shorter your stump is, the less control you have of a prosthetic leg. I think every kid has dreams. They want to be the star basketball player or a ballerina. When I was 14 years old, a physical therapist from Shriners Hospital introduced me to a ski clinic. I was on one ski and I had outriggers. It's kind of a pole with a short little ski on the end. So I was right where I wanted to just blend in with the crowd, you know, I didn't want to be different. And I didn't feel comfortable trying to hop around a ski slope. And I saw a snowboarder and I'm like, well, that's really cool. They were like jumping off that ridge and wow, I want to do that. And at that time in the game, they were like, you know what? No, you don't have two knees. That's just not possible. That's never gonna happen. If anyone tells you no, you're just gonna go and try and prove them wrong. I think that's how it is for anybody, no matter what it is. And that's how I felt too. I'm like, well, I'm just gonna show you. I had to wait for the chance. I think it wasn't a feat that I was able to conquer all by myself. I really needed some help. Jerome Fry, I met him when I was 8 years old. He was 14, so a little bit of an age difference, but we had cancer at the same time. He came in right after my amputation, just being a positive reinforcement that life's not over. So it's because you lost a leg. And yeah, so he grows up and he designs the XT9 and I use it to snowboard. The second year I'd been riding, I got invited out to go to nationals and go and compete. I went back the next year and I went back the following year. But I didn't want to just keep going back to nationals and not being any better than I was the year before. I wanted some competition. I wanted to train. And I didn't know who else to call, and I thought that maybe the National Ability Center would say, oh, well, we don't have a program, but we can help you out. It was like a weight off my shoulders, you know. I finally have somebody to ride with, I would have some drive, and I would have the support of an amazing organization behind me. When it comes to adaptive sports, like a sponsorship company, for instance, we're not seen as assets as athletes. We're seen as more a liability. I don't know why exactly. It's just, it's the whole view of disabilities or something. But we're constantly fighting that and saying, hey, you know what, I put just as much, or I work twice as hard as anybody else. Maybe I don't get quite as far. Maybe I'm not as strong. You know, I can't throw a trick as high as Shaun White can. I'm never going to be able to throw a trick as high as Shaun White can. But it doesn't stop me from trying. I can't compare myself to everybody else because I'm dealing with so much more on my plate than, you know, a two-legger. We call them two-leggers. Snowboarding is not for everyone. You leave everything behind. You leave work, you leave your problems, everything at home, and you just go ride. My leg is very much a part of me, just as your leg is. You know, I'm just like anybody else.
I only wish you could tell. And you're still running away.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe some athletes will maybe follow in my footsteps and like, oh, she can snowboard, I don't have a leg, I can snowboard too. Maybe that's what will happen, I don't know. But I definitely want to be a part of the culture somehow, somewhere. It's kind of left to the unknown, and I'm okay with that.